If you're ever cold inside your house, just stand in a corner. It's always 90 degrees there. What's going on, YouTube? So with June having so much action-packed stuff in it, we're going to break down all the giveaways, all the free things that you can earn, all the login rewards, what's going to be in the Crown Store, therefore, what can you actually get as far as monster sets and shoulders, etc. We're going to break it all down in this video. So to start off, just very briefly, we have our login rewards, which is going to include mainly some nice Seals of Endeavors, some instant all research, which is fantastic. Please utilize your research. Start it now. I know it's one of those things that a lot of people like to put off, but it's essential for you to do. Your 21-day reward is 100,000 gold. Now, obviously, a lot of people love 100,000 gold, myself included. But another thing I wanted to kind of remind you of is that if you have an ESO account, you have an Xbox NA account and an EU account. Never a bad idea to log in and go, maybe in case if I ever want to play with the boys on the EU server or vice versa, it'd be good to have some, rewards to get me going. And 100,000 gold is a great way to get started if you're ever thinking about switching mega servers, or if you just want to have multiple characters just so you can experience ESO on 2 different mega servers. And ironically, because there's so much stuff in June going on, the developers actually released a page called the Survival Guide, which is kind of funny. So we're going to go over the highlights here, just because some of the stuff we don't need to do a full breakdown on, such as the NVIDIA GeForce Now promotion, 530 to 630. If you're a NVIDIA GeForce Now member, you can claim the Sun Gold Bay Thoroughbred mount free from their website. I truthfully don't know what any of those PC terms are. You guys will be shocked to know that I play on a Mac, so please don't hate me. Then specially on 6/3, we have our PC Mac launch of the Gold Road. Now, I will be playing it when it comes out on console. We might do another 24-hour challenge, because that's how we started our previous 24-hour challenge, is that filling that time period of when it came out on PC versus when it came out on console. So it'd be a fun time. But obviously, the Westweld Gold Road expansion is going to be absolutely massive, and I highly encourage you guys to check out the Gold Road. I think it'll be huge. I'll be doing a full-on preparation guide for the Gold Road here soon. That'll probably come out either on Sunday or maybe Monday, just depending on when some edits and stuff get finished, just because of how massive it is, making sure that all of your guys are ready to go. That also includes some economic updates and whatnot as well. Then we have our consoles release, as well as the anniversary event spotlight. So this is going to be for completing the new scribing main storyline. We'll give you access to a mount. The time frames, basically you get 30 days from when the expansion comes out for you. So if you play on console, you get 30 days from the release date on console. If you play on PC, you get 30 days from the release on PC. Then there's an Alienware giveaway. Again, I don't know what aliens have to do with ESO. It's probably some more PC terms that confuse and bewilder me. Then we have a Capture the Relic weekend, which is odd because it's from 6/13 to 6/18. I wish that my work weekends were quite that long, but unfortunately, they're usually not. Then we have our release of the Gold Road on console. Woo! Actually, time to get excited. You'll have Game Pass perks, which would be really cool. If you guys have the Xbox Game Pass, you'll get a little more. I would guess it's probably some Seals of Endeavor, some potions, and some stuff. Usually, it's not something cosmetic. Usually, it's like Seals of Endeavor and then some other consumables from what I've noticed. Then you'll have even more access to another free mount if you're an ESO Plus member. I believe it's this camel that you see just down here in the bottom middle, but I'm not quite sure yet. We don't know exactly all the details yet, but that does line up with the event times based on the bottom there. Then we have the Seals of Zenthar event, which is confirmed. Lovely. Glad they gave us a time like a month in advance, because they never do that for any events. And people like me have to make videos, and we don't put a start date on it, and then everyone in the comments goes, Jake, when does this event start and end? And I have to say, I don't know. I can only speculate. But now, we don't need to speculate. From 6/20 to 7/2. And here is this beautiful breakdown here for us for our 10th anniversary celebration roadmap for specifically June into July. Fantastic. And here is the Crown Store. We always talk about the Crown Store just because it's a very important part of the market. Here's the free thing that you can get if you're an ESO Plus member. Here are some of the motifs that you can purchase. Interesting question. So for a while, when crowns were 100 to 1, it was actually cheaper to buy these from the crown store by buying crowns from another player at 100 to 1. So that was 500,000 gold essentially to get these motifs. But now with the market changes, it's generally not worth it. I think you're probably going to be closer to 300 to 1 on console, unless they do some sort of crown sale, which wasn't in their little, ditty for, hey, here's everything that's going on in June. However, they don't usually advertise crown sales ahead of time because then generally people will just wait to buy a crown. So it's very well possible that we will get a crown sale, but generally these things are now worth more buying them on the market. But think though, if you're on console, 300 to 1, that's 1.5 million for 500,000 crowns. It still actually might be cheaper to buy these from the crown market depending on how much it is, for your guys' chapters. But also important to note too, because this confuses a lot of people. So you just see where it says you have a chance to get this from the March of Sacrifice. This confuses people because sometimes people think that this is the monster set style. This is not. This is actually the style that comes from the dungeon. Every single veteran dungeon has a style page attached to it. And you have a decent chance if you complete it on veteran. And if you actually complete the dungeon on hard mode, you will always get a purple motif page from that dungeon. The whole video breakdown where I talk about each of the dungeons, how much their motifs are worth, is a bit outdated, unfortunately. It's about 6 to 8 months old. But it kind of breaks down, the average motif is worth this much. Therefore, if you farm this on hard mode with 4 friends, each of you are going to be getting a motif of a median value of this much. So just something to keep in mind that you can actually farm all of these legitly. But as you can see here, these ones are going to be different. So these are not dungeon drops. These are rewards coffer ones. So these are usually worth a bit more because they could be a bit more annoying to farm. It's much more RNG based. That might sound weird because you might think, well, Jake, don't a lot of people farm dungeons? And they probably don't want to farm the hard mode. And that's true, but there are generally a lot of dedicated players when a dungeon comes out that want to get paid. And those motifs are worth a lot. And then, during the Jubilee events and everything else, those motifs from up here are just flooded onto the market. People are selling them for cheap. So usually these motifs drop in value very quickly. This one being brand new is going to be worth quite a bit. So just keep that in mind. Same thing with the Wayward Guardian. That one's going to be, it's a bit older one. Then we've got the Meridian one, which comes from Depths of Malatar, which is a pretty cool dungeon. This one's also going to be spotlighted by a monster style page, so I would expect to see a lot of these motifs listed on the ESO market just because people are also going to be farming for the monster set. We'll get there very shortly, I promise. We got Night Hollow, and then we've got Symphony of Blades. Here it is. So this is a really interesting one, and it actually falls inside a sweet spot that I want to highlight. A quick overview, basically though, from this time period, June 3rd to June 6th, people will have the ability to farm and get a monster set helmet, as well as a shoulder from the Depths of Malatar. Now, you get the helmet by actually completing the dungeon. You get the shoulders by rolling your Undaunted keys. You can either spend 50, as you see here, or you can roll for the 1 key mystery. So, when it comes to that, that's relatively straightforward. Having the achievement Throwing Shade, which is the hard mode clear, increases your odds. So what does that mean? Well, it's important to note, because this gets asked a lot too, you do not have a chance to get the helmet on normal. You don't have any odds at all. So increasing your odds from 0, multiplying it by 2, is still 0. However, if you have the achievement and you complete it on veteran, you've got some good odds. Farming it on hard mode only gives you these extra motif pages that we talked about up here. You'll get a guaranteed one of these, which granted are not worth a lot these days, and you still have the same odds as long as you already have the achievement Throwing Shade. And just a quick note about this hard mode, I can't visualize it very easily because I've not farmed it recently, but if you go to the arena and you stand all the way in the back on the rocks that are almost falling off the map, you can actually dodge the hole-in-the-wall mechanic. There definitely is somebody that can explain it better, but you can look it up. There's a way that you can completely cheese the final boss form, because it's pretty annoying. But all that aside, this falls in what I call an interesting sweet spot economically. So, the helmet on PC is worth about 4 million gold right now, and on console it's worth between 1 to 2 million gold. So not a lot of people are going to be interested in farming this just because June 3rd to June 6th, short time window, a lot of other stuff going on. In fact, the game's going to be released for the Gold Road on PC. So how many PC players are going to take a lot of time to then farm this? So I think that generally you see a dip whenever a monster set enters, the foray for being able to be farmed. But what's fascinating about this is I don't think a lot of people are going to be farming it, which means that its value is going to go back very quickly, and people who do farm it will probably see a better rate of return just for the simple fact that everyone's going to be busy. People are going to go, that's neat. Maybe I'll buy it. Maybe I'll look at it. But I'm probably not going to farm it just because I got so much going on. So that's a very good economic sweet spot for you because it's not worth enough to tempt players to go, I need to farm this. It's not, the one that we had last month, the big one. I don't even want to say its name like Voldemort, that was worth hundreds of millions of gold that, everyone was like, this is my ticket to the good life. This is just kind of like, yeah, that's decent. And I think it's actually still really good. 1+ million gold is still a fantastic return. So definitely consider that. One that is not a fantastic return, though, is from June 10th to June 13th. Same concept. It's the Lambris Arms Pack. It comes from Crypt of Hearts, which is so goofily easy that people can farm this and just crank these out the wazoo. The problem, too, is versus Symphony of Blades, this monster set has been highlighted a lot. You're probably only going to reasonably get 100,000 gold, maybe a couple 100,000 gold on console, maybe a few 100,000 gold on PC if you're lucky. It's one of those things where it's like, well, Jake, maybe I should do it. But the problem is that here, this monster set doesn't look as good, and then it's just been out for so long. I mean, realistically, 99% of you have seen the Lambris. It looks pretty ugly. It's like a ninja mask with things on it. It's just not good. And because of that, I would say you could pretty much skip this. If you want to do it, you certainly can. Crypt of Hearts can be farmed very quickly, but the problem is even if you get like 10, 20 of them, you're not going to sell them very quickly. And, from June 10th to June 13th, if you play on PC, you can play the Gold Road. You can farm the new sets there. You can farm all these things to make money. If you play on console, you're going to have a lot of people who are ramping up, getting ready to make their new characters, who are buying upgrade mats, buying all these consumables, all these sets and things to get ready for their new characters, new journeys. So I don't see this being a good use of your time. And then there's Pirate Skeleton, which I think is somewhere in the middle. Its value is also in the middle of the two. It leans more towards the first one, thankfully, the Symphony of Blades mask. So I would say this is one that you can farm. This one is also for a pretty easy dungeon. Blackheart Haven, pretty easy. You get a skeleton mask, looks pretty neat. We actually talked about it because it was in the Tuesday vendor not too long ago. How much value it's going to have probably is going to change a lot, but this one is definitely overlapping with everybody's Gold Road launch. So this one might be one to think nobody's going to be farming it. It's still worth a few million gold. Maybe I'll farm it, even if I only get one, in a few hours of grinding. It's still something that's probably going to retain its value over 1 million gold, regardless if I play on PC or console. So it's probably worth doing. It's probably definitely worth doing just based on the easiness of the dungeon. So something to keep in mind. Then we have our Zeals of Zenthar arms packs, which these aren't tied to anything. And then we've got some more Zeals of Zenthar stuff. Yes, beautiful, yada yada, wardrobe, all neat. I definitely would wear that toga out in public. More pirate stuff, interesting. I did not think that they would put out pirate things. And then we got the Dwemer crates. These are pretty popular crates. Need a DLC Necrom. This is pretty important though. If people are interested, you can buy the Arcanist class separately. I think a lot of people will be interested in doing this just because it's pretty cool that you can just buy it separately now. Events, tickets, furnitures. This one, I love this thing, by the way. This is a side note. I bought this with my gold from another player because that's like that. Before I gave away all my gold on stream, that was like 99% of what my stuff was used on was furniture stuff. This is a great purchase. Aquatic stuff houses is going to be big this month. I know, and that's terrible because everybody's going to want to buy these houses. These are amazing houses. All of these are amazing. Everybody's going to want to buy their end game houses with gold, because the people who are buying houses are multimillionaires, and they're going to be looking for people who are willing to sell them crowns. And this month, crowns are going to skyrocket in value. If you're somebody who has ESO plus, crowns that have stacked up, or you're a newer player and you want to make a couple million, gold from selling some crowns, this is the month to do so. The stuff that's going to be here is going to be absolutely fantastic. There's going to be so many people coming in, maybe on console with a lot of new players coming in, with ESO Plus or the PlayStation equivalent. Maybe on console, crown prices won't skyrocket as much, but on PC, to the moon. Then we got a little new deconstructor guy. I mean, it's cool. I think a deconstructor assistant is a really cool item if you're a new player. But if you are not a new player and you're not deconstructing things on a regular basis for some reason, I've always thought that the banker and the merchant were just better. Especially because when I recommend crown store items to new players, things that they should grind for, try to maybe purchase from another player with their gold, I usually try to not make it overwhelming. This usually doesn't make the cut for me unless you're like brand new and you want to start deconstructing and getting a crafting character. But to me, without needing multiple crafting characters and how easy it is to level up other characters just by doing daily writs, even if they're low level crafters, I don't generally recommend the deconstructor, but it could be an interesting pickup. Some very cool mounts, which looks just like the one that if you were a God Slayer, so I guess it's a little different. And my favorite mount that I don't own, I've missed it every time it's come in. And then we have our bass song Quag's Griff, which is a cool looking mount, customizable actions, pets, upgrades, and that's the ground store. So it's clear that June has got a lot going on in it, and as always, in our Discord, which is linked in the description below, with a whole bunch of other goodies such as price checkers, my Twitter, which is actually the most useless thing on the list in the description below, but check out the Twitch, because we're almost to 1,000 followers. There's a lot of good stuff in there, specifically what stuff you should be selling. What are good Overland non-DLC sets? What are good Overland DLC sets? What are good items to sell for AP? That information is in our Discord. It'll be highlighted a little bit in the next video where we have our preparation guide, so stay tuned for that. It'll either come out on Sunday or Monday, which will be pretty exciting. We'll be working on the podcast video. If you guys have FAQ questions that you want to ask us, that is the question of the day. If you guys want to have any FAQs that you want to ask me and Paradox ESO, we'll either put them at the beginning or the end of that video, just as a little bit of fun things. If you guys have questions, it could be about ESO, personal questions, how we do stuff, yada yada. Feel free to ask them however you want. And that obviously leads into our giveaway drawings, which this is the giveaway drawing for this month. I put this one all the way to the end of the month. So if you would like to win this one, here's the Amazon code right here. The second thing is just be subscribed on both YouTube and following on Twitch, please, because we're so close to that goal. Drawing will be pulled from both, so if you are subscribed and following, you're entered twice. And then the third thing is just answer that comment. If do you have any FAQs? If not, you can answer anything else. Tell me what you're excited about. Not everyone has FAQs, obviously, so what excites you the most here? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.